whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show on this Friday.
Good morning.
2 days before the NFC Championship game. I made the appetizer yesterday, so I'll be showing that off in a little bit. So that was fun. Marley was my my videographer, so she makes many cameos in this.
So funny.
Little dancing, little snarkiness from my teenage daughter. So that's all coming up. John Rothman's going to join us in just a few minutes. A ton of political news to talk about, as we like to do on Fridays. Of course, we will wrap up the show with Tim Sika talking about movies, and I'm going to quickly ask him about the quote-unquote Barbie snub for Greta Gerwig and Margo Robbie. Click the thumbs up button to show your support for the show. Super Chat is live, and as is becoming a habit for him, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, Spencer for the $5 Super Chat donation to start us off. Thank you very much. You guys, please, if you have one thing besides rooting for the 49ers this weekend to do, sign up for our monthly Patreon, thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Thank you to Brian, I think just came in to become an official Medorable, actually bumped up his membership. So we really appreciate that, nice. Brian.
Yeah.
So if you want to be like him and a lot of other people, just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. And it's just one time a month, and we really appreciate it because we are 100% crowdfunded. If you like PayPal, just go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and the email address to send it to is thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. All right, before we get to John Rothman and politics, I have a very funny story to tell you guys about. We were talking about sports yesterday, and I was saying how my kids are just not sporty. I mean, Dylan does parkour, but both of my kids like to do plays. Mm-hmm. My daughter's going to do a chorus line in high school.
Oh, that's so cool. What
that's a high school one. It's very slow getting off. You know, I think high school takes longer, but my son just
drive my ass down to San Jose for that.
And then my son just tried out this week for Newsies Junior, right?
Oh, I love that
and so you had told me, Kim, yesterday, because I showed Dylan, my son, the movie. I didn't know. I mean, I should have, right? I didn't know that Disney Plus had the Broadway musical.
Yeah.
For, streaming. And so you told me yesterday, like, you have to watch it. And so we watched it, and it is hands down amazing. My son, he was already, he was going to do the play. He is so much more excited now that he's seen the play, right? So we're looking at it, and he's kind of intimidated by the dancing. And there's, these kicks and these leaps and these spins. And I was like, you'll probably do something of the sort. But, because he was talking about the fact that he has to tap dance in this.
We just have to send him to Murphy. She'll take care of it.
Exactly. Well, I looked at him and I said, I can teach you to tap dance. I tap dance.
Oh,
for like 13 years. And he's like,
yes.
And he's like, no, you don't know how to tap dance. And I'm like, I do know how to I mean, I don't tap dance now, but if you practice, if you slap some tap shoes on me, I can do pretty good, shuffle ball change, and I can do, the time step. I'm pretty aware, kind of a little bit of muscle memory. I'm not going to be a Broadway dancer. He did not believe me. I had to get my butt out of bed, Kim McAllister.
Oh my God.
And just show him some of the moves. And I was like, I could at least help you. And it's as if I was born in my 40s to this child. I was like, I was a child. I did do things. I did learn skills, my son.
Does he not know you were a dancer? Like, is this new to him, or he's just never seen it?
I think he just has never seen it. We haven't busted out the VHS tapes of all of our dance recitals and competitions and things like that. Obviously, I'm not displaying all of my many state grand champion competitions. Like, I was not bad, man. You know what I mean? Like, yes,
hey,
it was
kids,
a group thing.
Mom knows things.
Yeah, it was and it was one of those moments where I'm looking at him. I'm like, what the hell, man? I wasn't born this age. I could tap dance. So I showed him a couple moves. He's like, all right, whatever. And I'm like, okay, Shut up, child. Shut up. But yeah, it was really, really funny. So I'm very excited. Thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah.
Because I mean, literally, we're clapping at the television. It was such
It's
a
one
good
of the
performance.
very few incidents where the play is better than the original movie.
It was, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It was very moving. I mean, I actually got choked up. The guy that plays him, Jeremy Jordan, I mean, I was even looking it up. Jeremy Jordan was Jack Kelly in the musical, and he was amazing. And did you know this little piece of movie trivia when I Googled him? That one of my favorite musical movies is The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman. Did you know that Hugh Jackman was recovering from some sort of illness and could not do the demo for A Greatest Showman? So do you know who does do the vocals? Is Jeremy Jordan.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't. That's cool.
Not either. And Dylan even said it because we love The Greatest Showman. And he's like, that voice sounded familiar. But I'm telling you, Broadway singers, they barely open their mouths and their voice just, bellows. And it was amazing. Anyways, hands down, great. I know Newsies is kind of old, but if you've never seen it before on Disney Plus, and if you have it, check it out because it was absolutely amazing. So thank you, Kim, because my son is now way more excited to do the play. He wants to be either the little kid, I forget his name, Len, I don't know what it is, the little kid, or he wants to be Crutchy. So I think those are the two that he'd like to be, but we'll see what happens. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Can't wait to see him on stage. Okay, it is Friday, and that means we have to get a political roundup with none other than Around the Political World with John Rothman, the John Rothman. Hello, my friend.
Hello, and I want you to play those tapes of you tap dancing so we can all see it.
I think that my brother actually has them all because that's the last time I remember it. I not only have to find the tapes, John, I then have to dig out my VCR because that's the format that it's in because we never did the switch over.
Do the switch over.
I know I really need to because we danced again for 13 years. So yeah, it was that was my thing that I did. I have the whole diaper.
Now dancing. I understand why you are always on your toes.
But well, speaking of being on your toes, John Rothman, it does seem that former President Trump is a bit on his toes. Now, Nikki Haley came in second, which we knew that was going to happen in New Hampshire, third in Iowa, but of course, DeSantis dropped out. Should Nikki Haley, does it make sense, let me say, for Nikki Haley to stay in?
She's going to lose, but why not stay in? If something happens to Donald Trump, then she'll suspend her campaign. And like DeSantis at the Republican National Convention, she could still be considered for the nomination. But did you hear the news this morning of Donald Trump in court, storming out of the courtroom, showing complete contempt for the court?
Yes.
It's astounding.
He doesn't want it. And now you're talking about the Arizona case, right? He was in Arizona.
I'm talking about the New York case,
the
defamation case.
Because I think he has to be in New York today because he was supposed to have some sort of rally. I saw that right before we came on. So this was the New York case where the judge told him, for people that don't know, you can only say yes or no. I don't think there's ever been a sentence that Trump has said that's only one
During
word.
Closing arguments today, Donald Trump stood up, stormed out of the courtroom. The judge is threatening sanctions against Donald Trump's lawyer. But you know what's fascinating to me? It's the complete contempt for the American justice system.
Oh, yeah.
The complete contempt for a federal court. And let me tell you something. If I were that judge, I would nail Donald Trump. I would make him pay for that contempt. And I think that's what's going to happen. Then the question is, will Republicans care?
No, they don't care. I mean, John, I'm sure you've also seen, even though I just saw a headline that Trump does not want it to happen, that the RNC basically, even though he does not have the delegate number yet, they want to just kind of crown him as the nominee. I mean, have you ever heard of something like that?
It is appalling. And I really want you to know the Republican National Committee was prepared to do it. They had to withdraw it because there were objections. But can you imagine the chair of the Republican National Committee, Ronna Romney McDaniel, saying, well, he's our presumptive nominee. He isn't presumptive until you have the delegate count.
Thank you.
And, I mean, it's the whole thing is it's antithetical to everything that I have learned about in the political process.
Yeah.
And as for Nikki Haley, she'll lose in South Carolina. That will be the end of her formal candidacy. And Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. And that is an absolute disaster. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting that up. Court chaos, Trump storms out. And believe me, to stand up in a federal court and storm out, unbelievable.
I mean, there's no
Unbelievable.
consequence, John. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
there
you
will
can
be.
sanction the attorneys, but what are you going to do with this guy? This is the
You're
guy
going to
that does
fine
it.
him. He is going to get a fine that will knock his socks off. And remember, there's several parts of this. It's not just what he will owe Carol. It's what he will then have to pay for compensatory damages. I think what Donald Trump has done is really not smart. But his supporters are going to love this. And he is going to gain such mileage from this. It's unbelievable. So that's what he's thinking. It's going to cost them some money, and he's willing to pay the price. But you don't understand. Here he shows such contempt for Carol, this woman who he assaulted all those years ago. And we're also dealing with the question of a woman's right to choose. How can any self-respecting woman, or for that matter, any self-respecting man, vote for Donald Trump? I don't get it.
I've been asking that question since the very beginning, since the grab him by the pee comment. It blows my mind. And then they love to stand on their morals, John. I love these people. The fact that the evangelical vote still goes to this guy blows my mind. And it's brainwashing. That's the only thing that I can think of is
It's a
that
cult.
they just, this is the other thing that I keep mulling over in my mind. Why don't they just want to get rid of him? Because he causes so much headaches. Is there no other Republican that agrees with Trump, but isn't a guy with so much baggage?
You know, a cult is a curious thing, Nikki. When you believe in someone, you cannot admit their faults.
Yeah.
And that is what is so remarkable. You and I can see it. And I tell you, I've been a Republican. I was very active in the Republican Party. I'm a Democrat now, but I've seen Donald Trump's faults. Look, I worked for Richard Nixon. I saw his faults. I had no problem calling him out on that. And that's the tragedy. When Donald Trump Jr. stood on the ellipse on January 6th and said, it's no longer the Republican Party, it's the party of Donald Trump,
Right.
he was right. And let me tell you, anytime you have one leader who is followed blindly,
Exactly. Off the cliff.
that's dangerous. And we've seen that in other countries. And I never, ever thought we would see it here. I was thinking of fictional movies. You were talking about things you watch on TV.
Yeah.
Everybody should watch Elmer Gantry, which is the story
Elmer
of
Gantry?
Elmer
Okay.
Gantry, Burt Lancaster. It was brilliant because he's a huckster. He's a religious huckster. And he's dishonest as can get out. And he fools people. And I can tell you that is exactly what Donald Trump has done. When the spell is broken, it'll be fascinating to see how people respond to this situation.
I bet they'll make him into a martyr in some circles, which just boggles my mind. What are the rules, John? So let's say you say that you believe Nikki Haley will drop out after South Carolina. I mean, what are the rules with if Trump is deemed either not on the ballot, can't run for president, whatever happens with him? If he can't run anymore, then what happens? I mean, do people just write it in or?
No, it's the best question you could ever ask. And let me explain. That's why they are suspending their candidacies, not concluding them. So those candidates for president who have suspended their candidacies can get back in, if you will, if there's a vacancy at the convention. We have not had an open convention for any political party since 1952, when Adlai Stevenson was nominated on the third ballot. The simple truth is that if Donald Trump were, for any reason, not to be available during the convention to be the nominee, the Republican Party would have to scramble because you can't repeat the primary process.
Right.
But here's the kicker. You may remember when Robert Kennedy was assassinated in 1968, he had amassed delegates to the Democratic National Convention. The question is, who would they vote for? So those delegates caucused in Chicago and decided to vote for George McGovern. Now, of course, they didn't have enough delegates to win the day. But the point was delegates then had a certain leeway. But it is fascinating. Now, the next question you might want to ask is, what happens if, after the convention, when Donald Trump is the nominee, something happens?
Right.
We have only one real example of that, and that was 1972, when Tom Eagleton was nominated for vice president, left the ticket, and then the Democratic National Committee chose the next candidate. Of course, the presidential candidate that George McGovern said who he wanted. But you will recall it was Sergeant Shriver who was chosen to replace.
But that was for vice president.
Yes, but it was the National Committee's function to fill a vacancy because they don't call a new convention. There's no new convention. So after a convention concludes and makes the nominees, if something happens and you need a new nominee formally, that becomes the province of the National Committee of the political party.
Let's talk about some hot button issues, though. The first, the border. It's come out. Trump does not want Republicans working with President Biden, pardon me, with President Biden on any sort of border solution. Because just like Laura Ingraham said, we're not going to let him do, kind of a victory lap during his presidency on this. Yeah. How does this play out? How does the border, especially with what Greg Abbott is doing with the barbed wire at the border, kind of going against judges' rulings on not doing that, basically? I mean, how does this play out politically right now when, if it's a crisis, why would you not work with the president on a solution?
Okay, let's deal first with Governor Abbott. And I want everybody to know that Governor Abbott of Texas may well be angling for the vice presidential nomination. But the point is, you're absolutely right. It's just a terrible thing. But you've asked a more fundamental question, and that is, where are the Republicans in the United States Senate, the greatest deliberative body in the world? And what are they doing? They're bowing to Donald Trump. It is unprecedented. I can remember examples when there has been this kind of interference, when senators have said, I'm not going to vote for you for that reason. Right. But this Republican Party is so weak in terms of its strength, that is to say, it's standing up, but it's a tragedy for the United States Senate. The greatest deliberative body in the world, the Republicans are bowing to Donald Trump. It's astounding. But that what you've said, here's I see you've got Mitt Romney up. Do you want to play that? Can you play? I don't know.
Can you hit it, Kim? Kim's doing it for us. Let's go.
Good, thanks.
Okay, perfect.
Of two minds in the conversation, but reading the reports this morning and the fact that he hasn't corrected them suggests that he is inclined to listen to what former President Trump wants. And former President Trump has indicated to senators that he does not want us to solve the problem at the border. He wants to lay the blame for the border at Biden.
Exactly.
And the idea that someone running for president would say, please hurt the country so I can blame my opponent and help my politics is a shocking development.
Do you think just horrible.
That's
and let me tell
insane.
The fact that Republicans in the United States Senate would bow to Donald Trump on this for pure political expediency, you know what they're afraid of? They're afraid that if they don't support Trump, he'll primary them. He'll get somebody to run against him in a primary, or it's political intimidation, it's blackmail, and it's so offensive to me, and it's a tremendous blow to the United States Senate. If you want to understand the power of the United States Senate, there are many movies that you could watch, but I think that the best is Advise and Consent, starring Charles Lawton, among other brilliant actors. It came out in 1960. It was filmed in the United States Senate itself. They were given permission to do it, and it explains how balance of power works. So I advise you to watch Advise and Consent. It is one of the most brilliant movies ever made.
Trump is calling on states to deploy the National Guard to Texas as they're kind of debating this. Does this kind of give Trump a little bit of cover for what he's telling senators?
I don't think so. And I think the idea of deploying the National Guard to a state border on a federal matter is, again, unconscionable. It's a political ploy. It's not serious. And I want to underline and emphasize that Governor Abbott may go along with it, but I don't even think he's particularly happy about it, because they're talking about the feds taking over the Texas National Guard as well as other National Guards from other states.
Right. Now let's move on to how Biden is dealing with all of these headlines. I'm going to play you a little bit of this news report. Larry Kudlow talking about what is a good headline for President Biden, although Republicans will definitely try to swing it around.
Look, it was a good quarter. Don't get me wrong. 3.3% beat estimates. And the last quarter was a good quarter, 4.9%. Absolutely. So he gets his due. If I were he, I'd be out slinging that hash too. No problem. I want to say one thing. When you look under the hood, though, and this is the same story, we've seen this again and again, the single biggest category was government spending.
So how do we break down those numbers? Like, he's blaming the federal government spending, and that's why the economy is doing well. What's your take on that?
Well, the answer is the economy is doing well. Unemployment is down. Inflation is down. The economy is booming. The stock market is at record highs. And frankly, your 401ks are doing very, very well. I have to tell you that the Republicans have to downplay it. If this were a Republican in the White House, they'd be cheering.
Oh, God,
but
yes.
with Joe Biden, they've got to attack him. This was the subject in part of my my commentary yesterday on Around the Political World with John Rothman. That was the commercial. That there is this incredible growth and strength in the economy. Let me tell you something. Inflation is a killer, but inflation is going down. Did you hear the news? I drive an electric car, so, well, it doesn't bother me, but gas prices are going down.
Yeah.
So this is something the Republicans have to understand. The very issues that they are trying to throw up at Biden, he's succeeding on. And one of the most important political developments of the week, the United Auto Workers have endorsed Joe Biden for re-election. That is a marvelous move from his point of view, because he needs to carry Michigan, and I think that will go a long way to helping him carry that great state.
But this is the thing, John. Every time there is a feather in the cap of Joe Biden, what do Republican and Republican commentators say? Be afraid of a President Kamala Harris. Can you explain to people why Republicans hate Kamala Harris so much? Besides the fact that she's a Democrat, but
she's a Democrat. She's a woman. She's a woman of color. And I've known Kamala. The first radio talk show she ever appeared on was my radio talk show,
I didn't know that.
KGO. She wrote me a beautiful letter thanking me because I made it easier, as she said. I didn't think I did, but she felt that, which is part of the charm of being a good host, as you well know. But let me just say, vice presidents are the traditional whipping boy of presidential campaigns. Richard Nixon was the whipping boy in 1956 and 52, but I remember Adlai Stevenson describing Nixon land. Or do you remember the wonderful commercial about Spiro Agnew? And by the way, you can pull that up at Living Room Candidate, where the name Spiro Agnew is said, and all you hear is hysterical laughter. And of course, I remember Dan Quayle and the jokes we used to make about if Quayle became president, we quail at the thought. So my point is to you, a vice president has no record. A vice president really has only one constituent, and that is the president of the United States. Kamala Harris may be the whipping boy, but let me point out to you, the lowest ratings imaginable were for Harry Truman at one point. And remember, he'd served only 82 days as vice president, became president. They used to joke to air is Truman, take off onto air is human.
Right.
And the point is, once you're president, you make your own record. What would happen if something happened to Joe Biden today? Kamala Harris would be the nominee. I'm absolutely certain of it. They are running as a team. They made their first appearance this week together.
Right.
And so it is the Biden-Harris administration. So I would suggest to you that she is in a formidable position. And once you're president of the United States, if that were to happen, she would be judged on her own record. And I've known Kamala Harris for a long time. And let me tell you, she's tough, she's smart, and although people may laugh at her now, and I could tell you vice presidential jokes for her. Oh, may I tell you one? Just one. I
Go ahead. Go ahead. I know you have to.
The mother who had two sons, one went to sea, the other became vice president, and neither one was ever heard from again. Now, let me just point out that if you listen to Fox, you will know that Kamala Harris is the greatest villain. She's a disaster.
Oh, yes,
she's
exactly.
But that's Fox. That's what I expect from them.
But is there something about her and what they think she can do as president that frightens Republicans? It seems so, and I understand she's, the vice president of President Biden, but is there something about her and her politics and what she might be as president that scares Republicans?
Yes. I think they know that she really is very smart. She is a genuine liberal. She is a California Democrat. She has taken very strong stands over the years. I happen to like her. I think she is very articulate, very clear. Oh, they'll criticize her for her cackle.
Yeah, and that's just so sexist in my opinion.
Well, it's ridiculous. But just like they'd criticize me if I ran for president for my hairstyle. So I'm always, I don't want to make a joke about it, but Kamala Harris is in all likelihood one day going to be president of the United States, either because something happens to Joe Biden or because when Joe Biden retires, she will be the Democratic nominee for president. And let me point out to you that Gavin Newsom, who many view as the leading opposition, has said he won't run against Kamala Harris. He will not do it. And I don't think anybody else will either. She will get her legs when she is on the spot. And really, you can't judge anybody until they're in the Oval Office.
Of course.
By the way, the last vice president who became president to be denied the nomination of their party was in 1884. It was Chester Alan Arthur, who was defeated for the nomination by James G. Blaine. Nobody else will remember that. But what I want you to be aware of is if you are an incumbent president, for whatever reason, the odds are you're going to be renominated. And that is what we learned from Ronald Reagan's challenge to Gerald Ford and Teddy Kennedy's challenge to Jimmy Carter. Incumbents are renominated.
Yeah. And it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. This whole presidential election has me stressed out. I'm optimistic that the voters will come out again as they did in 2020. Do you think the passion to go against Trump is as strong as it was in 2020?
I think it's more so.
Yeah.
And I think the arrogance that he demonstrated today by storming out of that courtroom,
yes,
the fact that he will be fined heavily for what he's doing, should have an impact on people. Now, I say should, but remember, you're never going to convince the die-hard Trump supporters that he can do anything wrong. But it's the middle. It's the middle. Remember, Donald Trump has never won the popular vote in a national election. He went down by 9 million last time, or 7 or 9.
7 million, I think it was. Yeah, something like that.
And this time, it'll be an even bigger margin. And as for the swing states, all you have to do is take a look at a state like Kansas, which is a solid Trump kind of state. On the question of a woman's right to choose, they rejected the more extreme position. I will confess I'm a little Pollyannish. It's like you tap dancing.
Yes.
I believe that the American people fundamentally, when confronted with a situation, know what to do. And I believe Donald Trump will learn that lesson. You can't win a presidency in a national election from a narrow base. You have to have a large base.
Yeah.
Donald Trump doesn't have that base. Did you note, by the way, I think it was in New Hampshire that 11% of the voters said they'd never vote for Donald Trump?
Yeah.
If that's a national trend, he's in big trouble.
Absolutely. And remember that, in the primaries, it's the diehards that come out. I mean, I was talking about Iowa. 15% of Republicans actually voted in the Iowa caucus. And so for Trump to be like, I won in a landslide, winning in a landslide of 15% of the state isn't much of a landslide in my opinion.
There will be a huge voter turnout. It's not only the presidency, it's the Senate, it's the House of Representatives. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, the Republicans were counting on taking back the House. Doesn't look like it to me. I think the Democrats are going to take the House. And as for the United States Senate, what should be close, the Republicans are nominating their weakest candidates for the United States Senate so far, which is what they did in 2022. So let me tell you, I'm a realist. I'm not a partisan when it comes to this. I can count numbers, and I can see clearly on the horizon a wreck. Then the challenge will be when Donald Trump loses, as I believe he will, and the Republican Party will then have to emerge from the darkness of the Trump years and determine where it will go. And Nikki, you and I will have a lot to talk about in the days ahead over the Republican Party. Let me be clear. The Republican Party has to rebuild. It has to redefine itself. It has to get out of the shadow of Donald Trump and into the broad daylight of really having a political party that works.
Can I ask you one more quick question about the Senate? I'm assuming, I know you watched the U.S. Senate debate. Here's the thing I was thinking about. Obviously, I am a Katie Porter supporter. I have nothing against Barbara Lee or Adam Schiff. She's just the one that I particularly like. I don't think we can win for lose with either of the candidates, obviously, except Steve Garvey. But Steve Garvey said something that stuck with me a little bit. And it's this idea of, California, when it went just predominantly blue, right? A Democratic rule up and down the state. Do you foresee us ever moving towards the center. Because every time I think about that, I'm like, I would consider listening to a Republican, maybe about, the budget or what we fund. But that party has skewed so extreme. We can't give them an inch, because when we give you an inch, what happens? We lose fundamental constitutional rights.
No, you're absolutely right. Look, I remember when the Republican Party was a competitive party here in California. Indeed,
Yes.
I'm old enough to remember when it was the dominant party here in California. Those days are over. And Steve Garvey, if he wins, it would be not wins, but gets into the runoff.
Right.
I happen to think it's going to end up Schiff versus Porter in the
That's
runoff.
what I was thinking too.
Two Democrats. By the way, her great line that night of the debate about the artful dodger,
Yes.
the meaning
Once a dodger, always a dodger.
was just perfect. But I'm realistic enough to understand that I would prefer a state of California where you have a choice between a Democrat and a Republican. We made the mistake here in this state of deciding the top two would run off against each other. And that means it's a Democrat versus a Democrat in all likelihood. I'm not impressed by Steve Garvey.
No.
And one other quick point, I know we've got to close, but let me just say the latest polls show that in the March 5th primary here in California, that Donald Trump is going to sweep California in terms of delegates to the Republican National Convention. There is no real opposition to Donald Trump. And that will be another blow to the Republican Party in this state. I want a vital, vibrant two-party system. I want to have a choice. And that's the shame of it all.
Well, exactly. I can't consider, because even Steve Garvey, he tried to dance around it, but he's a total Trump supporter. It came out in everything that he said, and it wasn't much. He definitely spoke in broad generalities. I want to do this and that, but no real policy, which seems to be the Republican MO. But until they get it together, until the Republican Party figures out who it is, and hopefully is a party that can work across the aisle, because I just don't think they will. They're all about the wins and the Democratic losses. They'll never have my vote. They'll never have my consideration. And I know so many other voters feel exactly the same way.
And that's why if you ask, who is the leader of the Republican Party here in California, there isn't one.
Yeah, there
and
isn't
that's
one.
the tragedy. Remember when we had Pete Wilson, George Deukmejian, even Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah.
It's a tragedy. And let me tell you, I love California politics. Once upon a time, the governor and both United States senators were Republicans. That goes back to the 50s. Knight, Noland, and Kuechel. Those days are over, and the Republican Party better understand that. But let us hope for a better day. Maybe a catastrophic loss will cause them to rebuild and rethink.
Let's hope, from your lips to God's ears.
May I
John
just
Rothman.
close? I've got to close by saying support the Nikki Medoro program.
Please.
Kim McAllister. Do go to the various ways that you can support the program. Remember, they do this, but it's because of public support. It's because of your support. And I want to make sure everybody makes sure to sign up. And that applies to the Mark Thompson Show as well. This is so important for free speech and all the rest. And Nikki, we love you on KCBS. And when you are not with us, Kim McAllister does such a fabulous job.
She does. Look at that face. Absolutely.
Hi.
So make sure you follow John Around the Political World with John Rothman. It's like 10 minutes, very easy to listen to. And John Rothman is such a political expert. We love having you as an addition to our show as well. Have a great weekend. Go Niners, John.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye. I don't know if John Rothman's a huge football fan, but yeah, go check out his podcast. It's a really good one if you want to get a nice condensed roundup of the political news. All right.
10 minutes, just a little chunk of politics for you.
It's easy. Easy listen. Okay, so let's do some headlines, and then I'm gonna switch gears. It's Friday. I did some Friday food. Can I make just like a total admission though here?
You made it though. So I'm so impressed. Like before we even see it, before we even know if it's good, you made it. Done.
Not
That's
only did
all
I
I need
make
to know.
I did something else, and I'll tell you about it because I got to still upload the picture. But yeah, I have it right here. I'll show you guys my video with my Marley Joe's cameos all over it. I swear to God, having a teenager record your video is it's the number of bloopers that we removed from said video were a lot. Let me just tell you. All right.
So funny.
Click the thumbs up button, and here's Kim with some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
As mentioned by John Rothman here on the Nikki Medoro Show, the defense is resting in former President Trump's New York defamation damages trial Trump returned to the courtroom today and then briefly testified in his defense. A 9-member jury will decide how much money, if any, writer E. Jean Carroll will get for Trump defaming her when he called her allegation of sexual abuse back in the 90s a lie and a hoax designed to sell books.
I hope it's a lot of money. I mean, but again, it's if he's punished, he runs on the punishment. You know what I mean? Like it's this, it works. He uses it. He looks like, I can't stand him. I just can't.
It's interesting because Ron DeSantis said one of the things that hurt him in the GOP presidential nomination campaign was all the charges against Trump, because he said when that happened, it galvanized the Republican supporters. And so they all flocked to Trump because they feel somehow that he's been wronged.
Yeah.
So they don't think about, did he really sexually abuse her?
Exactly.
Even though it's a civil trial, a jury found that he did. And so they're not looking at that. They're looking at, they're coming after him.
It's another thing.
Right.
Exactly. I was listening to somebody before the New Hampshire primary, the day of being interviewed, and he was a Trump supporter. And they're like, why are you supporting him? And they're like, because they keep going after him. It's again and again, another court case. Instead of seeing that as the problem, they use that as the reason. And it's like, wait a minute, you've lost your common sense. If a guy, and this isn't the Democratic Party that's punishing this dude. This is our judicial system. And like, he has made people, and he has undermined everything from our elections to our judicial system. Every time he is found guilty of something or accused of something, he has to be innocent in MAGA's eyes. And that, my friends, is a cult. And it's so sad to see otherwise sane people not be able to see through this guy's BS. It's crazy.
This is happening today with the U.S. Supreme Court.
I think it did happen. I think that he has passed.
Oh, you think it has?
I think it's passed. I'm going to double check as you do it. Go ahead.
Please do. It's the nation rather's first execution by nitrogen hypoxia. And so that is...
he's dead.
Is he gone? Yeah. History making today in the state of Alabama. So this happened, a history making execution for Kenneth Eugene Smith, put to death by this new method. He had been sentenced to death for the 1988 murder of the woman pictured here, and lived through a botched execution attempt in 2022 before being put to death with the nitrogen hypoxia method.
Yeah, I was listening to the radio yesterday as it was leading up to it, and it's really, I don't know how I feel about it. So they just put an oxygen mask, but it's not oxygen, it's the nitrogen, and he just has to breathe it in. But I do know that it happened, because usually, by the way, I don't know if you know this, executions happen right at midnight, like right after midnight, and apparently, according to some of the reporters that were there, he kind of was spasming a little right before he passed, which is not with the injection, the lethal injection. They kind of just look like they're going to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it's this, and again, he did the crime. He was a hitman for hire, right? So 35 years ago. But yeah, it's kind of I don't mean this in a good way, amazing that he was executed so quickly in California. Would basically
that would have been an ongoing.
He would have passed by natural causes in California.
Something interesting. Alabama is one of only 3 states that have approved this method. So it's Alabama, Oklahoma, and Mississippi. And you would think that with it being untried and with it being like, it might not be a quick thing and you could probably suffer. 43 other inmates in Alabama have requested this new method of execution.
Oh, interesting. I don't know, man. And it's really a dark question to ask, but if you were going to be put to death, I guess going to sleep is the best way, right? I wouldn't want to go by firing squad or guillotine. No. You know what I mean? Of all the different ways we've executed people, or hangings or anything like that. Like, that's just disturbing. So
does it all seem so barbaric?
It does.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right.
I'm sure people would say, well, what about the victim? They didn't get to choose their method, and they didn't get to have any peace when they passed, right?
Still though, it's terrible all around.
The director of the CIA is expected to help broker a deal to secure the release of the remaining hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. Reports say CIA Director Bill Burns will meet with officials from Israel and Qatar this weekend in Europe to try and negotiate a deal. Burns is expected to meet with the head of Mossad and Qatar's prime minister as well. The Treasury Secretary is defending the Biden administration's economic agenda.
Yeah.
Speaking at the Economic Club of Chicago today, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen drew contrast with the policies of the Trump administration as President Biden is gearing up for a likely general election rematch with the former president. Yellen said, "The economy has continued to grow instead of contracting, as some had predicted a recession in the United States was inevitable." So what does it say that she's saying? You know what? We're continuing to grow.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously she's going to tell, but it's true though. Like John Rothman also mentioned, the economy is doing good. But when you're constantly told not to believe what's right in front of your face, or they manipulate everything to make it look a certain way, and Biden will never get credit for it in Republican circles ever, ever. And it's ridiculous.
PG&E.
Boo!
They're being fined $45 million for
Great,
California's second largest wildfire. Yeah, who do you think is going to cough up that money?
How about we stop?
Here comes another rate increase.
Exactly.
Oh,
Great,
yeah.
fabulous.
The 2021 Dixie Fire blackened nearly 1 million acres, destroyed more than 1,000 buildings. That fire raged out of control after a tree fell on a PG&E power line. The California Public Utilities Commission is demanding that $40 million of the fine be used to digitize maintenance records. The rest will go to tribal governments affected by the fires and the state's general fund as well. The commissioners were split 3-2 on this decision. CPUC's Safety Watchdog Division will monitor PG&E for compliance with the administrative consent order.
I want to protest in Sacramento until Gavin Newsom does something about this. And yes, my electric bill did go up this month about $100, by about $100. Now, this is both rate hike and the fact that I keep my thermostat. We do not move it at 65 degrees. That is as cold as I'm getting. Okay. I'm sorry. It doesn't kick on all of the time, but I got kids. I tell them to put a sweater on. They get under their blankets and that's what we do. But yeah, it went up about $100. And I mean, we need to protest Governor Newsom. We do. And I'm going to bring Loretta Lynch on again next month, but I'm so frustrated because it doesn't seem like, I know we're angry about it, but what are we doing about it? Does that make sense?
Totally.
We yell and scream and we bitch and moan on this, and then news reports do it. But what are we doing? I want to pressure Newsom. I mean, Jesus, Lord Almighty, help us. What the heck? It's never going to end. It's never going to end. PG&E is going to keep raising our rates, and we have no alternative. We're stuck.
Have you ever seen anyone at a press conference or anywhere else ask Gavin Newsom, these are all your CPUC appointees.
Yes.
Why do they rubber stamp PG&E?
Yes.
What is happening? What is happening? Why on this specific issue? I've never seen him hammered or grilled or anything about what's happening with PG&E.
And he stands up there. And again, you guys, I like Newsom for a lot of things. He is a failure on this. And it's he needs to be, twisted and made uncomfortable. Stand in front of Californians, explain to us while we're going broke. It doesn't matter how the economy is doing if your PG&E bill is doubling every freaking month.
You know what it is?
Give me a break.
It feels like the one issue where he's not standing up for us.
Right.
Now, I'll tell you, and he doesn't have our back. He had our back on COVID. He tried to protect
on gas
us.
prices, right?
He has our back on reproductive rights. He has our back on so many things. So I don't want to say that this will make me not vote for him, but one wonders, why wouldn't you have our back on this one?
Exactly.
Is it because maybe money is coming to campaigns?
Yes.
Well, if that, let's talk about it, Gavin Newsom. Let's figure out what's happening, because why aren't you standing up for us?
Like, can I just donate to your to whatever campaign you're on so you can like let go of CPUC, please? Like, can you be
Please.
on our side, please? Because that's what we need. We can yell and scream, but we need to march. We need to do something. I'm gonna talk to Loretta Lynch. Like, there has to be, organizations that are doing this right now. It's crazy.
And there's another rate increase request laying on the table.
Oh yeah, it's just gonna be like, okay. I mean, how much can people afford? It's ridiculous.
Nothing. We can afford no more for you, PG&E. Levi Strauss & Company plans to slash its global workforce by as much as 15%. The cuts, expected to come during the first half of this year, are part of the San Francisco-based company's 2-year restructuring plan to cut costs and simplify operations. Here's the kicker. The layoffs announced the same day a $170 million 10-year extension was revealed for the naming rights to Levi's Stadium, of course, where the San Francisco 49ers play football. How do you feel if you're a Levi Strauss employee who gets cut on the same day they're giving gazillions for the naming rights to the stadium?
Well, I'd feel exactly like what I am, a line on a budget, which is what I keep telling you people, right? I mean, big business doesn't care. They just don't. I mean, they can act like they care. They could feel really bad. And I'm sure in a certain instance, of course, it hurts somebody, right? Like on top that's not getting fired, but laying off all these people. But at the same time, if you got to cut, you cut. And that's it. That's it. That's capitalism for you people. And they want the name on that stadium. God, can you imagine if it had to be renamed? How much of a pain in the ass that would be? But it happens all the time. I mean, look at what is it right now? Oracle Park? It's still Oracle Park, right?
Yeah, but it's
Pac-12 Park. It's been
shuffled through, right?
Yeah, so it happens.
Yeah. The search is over. See if that's not what I mean. This is what I mean. The search is over for 2 suspects in the shooting of an Alameda County sheriff's deputy. There's a man and woman said to have taken their own lives after a standoff that lasted several hours, finally ending yesterday morning. Law enforcement had been negotiating with them. When that didn't work, a SWAT team busted into the building and found the couple dead. This all went on into the night after a deputy took a bullet to the arm on Wednesday afternoon. He was serving an eviction notice in a row of warehouses near Alvarado Niles Road and Dow Avenue. The sheriff's office says he had surgery and he does continue to recover.
Oh, good. Good.
This incident with this plane that crashed off the coast of Half Moon Bay? An Oakland woman is the second victim from a plane crash near Half Moon Bay. Cassidy Pettit was recovered Wednesday, days before her wedding to the pilot.
Wow.
He was flying this home-built plane when something went wrong less than 2 weeks ago, and it went down off the coast. Another couple was also on board. That woman was found the next day, but both men remain missing, and the investigative report on this is due out next month.
Look, I don't want to speak ill of the dead. Okay, but there's no way in HE double hockey sticks I'm getting in your homemade plane and flying with you. Like, Boeing can't even get it together. I'm going to go on this friggin' thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me, and I don't know the background of the guy. I don't know if he's like had other planes that have done well, but doesn't it seem, I mean, in what way, shape, or form would I go to somebody's house and like, hey, do you want to fly with me in my homemade plane? No, I don't want to fly with you in your homemade plane.
I do want to fly with you in your homemade plane. And this guy was some type of very hoity-toity engineer with an MIT degree.
I don't care. It's a plane. It could crash. I mean, I know this coming from somebody that jumped out of airplanes, perfectly good airplanes, skydiving. I don't know. It's sad. And they were like, right before they were getting married. I don't know. I mean, again, smart guy. Maybe he's had, better, obviously good luck before with his planes, but it's just a risk I wouldn't take. I'm sorry. Ooh.
Look at those. See those little teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, little rodent teeth.
Thank you for triggering my fear, but okay, yes.
A Mississippi woman is considering filing a lawsuit after she allegedly discovered a rodent's tooth inside of a Snickers candy bar. Peyton Davis claims she purchased the candy bar back in November from a Family Dollar store. After biting into the candy, Davis said she felt something a little hard in there, spit it into her hand. She then took the object to a dentist who said it was probably a rodent's tooth. Davis has hired an attorney to possibly file this lawsuit. Is this another I found a thumb in my,
Jillian. I think it's more likely that it is a rodent's tooth, given the fact that it's mass-produced food. Look, these things happen. It just does. I don't know how I'd feel because I'm such a death. Like, you can remove that photo. Like, seriously, like, I hate rodents. It is like my biggest fear.
Munchers.
If I found, but it would also, I don't know, but I would just probably, knowing me, if I was eating Snickers, I'd just spit it out and keep going. Like, I don't know.
Really?
I mean, unless it's gigantic. I mean, those teeth don't look that big. I don't know. It's just to save it and then bring it to the dentist and do all that. I don't know if I do that, but
so here's a story for you.
Okay.
I must have been late teens.
I'm taking the picture down though. I'm sorry. I can't.
I think he's a kind of cute little face.
No, I just hate it. Okay, go ahead.
I don't even want to tell you the story now. Okay. I think it was in my late teens and I had this Mr. Good bar. Those are the yellow and they're like chocolate peanuts inside of a chocolate bar. And and it was one of the like a bigger one. So you kind of unwrap it as you eat it.
Okay.
And I had taken a bite and then I unwrapped a little more and I saw something moving on the back of the package and it was a maggot that was wriggling around on the back of the candy bar. I mean, all it took for me to never have another one of those candy bars again, like stomach churning. I freaked out. I was so disgusted. Yeah. Gross, right?
Yeah, it's okay. I've eaten maggots, so
ew. Like on purpose?
No. I think I've told you this story. My best friend and I were like chowing down on, this was when I was like in high school. My friend Jen and I chowing down on some pistachio nuts. And we asked her brother if he wanted some. And he's like, no, there's maggots in those. And we broke open a nut and a maggot wiggled right out of it. And we had been eating them forever. And we vomited like instantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, gross, right? I mean,
I was once this one doesn't get me this as much. I was once eating a salad and there was a caterpillar in it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like that's good. Like the caterpillar wants the good salad, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
remove him and that's fine. And that made me from that point to this always kind of inspect my salads a little. I'm like paying a little closer attention.
But don't you feel like when it's a salad, it's like their food too? Like it's so close to the earth and from what it picked. You're like, okay, I get it. It's really, really fresh. A candy bar, there were so many friggin' steps before it got to me that could this thing at least have died? like please?
Yeah.
I don't know. That would gross me out.
So
really.
Gross.
Ugh.
Yeah, really gross.
That's gross.
This report is
that note.
So we don't have to eat maggots. This report is crowdfunded, which means it is sponsored by y'all. So thank you for that. Find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. And that's a really fun website. It's where the Patreon link is, where the PayPal link is. You find the Nikki merch site there. You find links to all the
shows to share. Yeah,
all kinds of stuff. So check it out, please, if you can, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Oh, I forgot to tell you, and this is something we do all the time. Today is National Have Fun at Work Day.
Oh, done. We do that every day. That's every day right here on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Easy peasy. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Okay. All right. You flashed it for a second in your news. I'm going to make an admission. So, remember yesterday I was talking about the two things that I wanted, actually the three things, the food court downtown San Jose that I still want to visit. And then there was the Five Guys cheeseburger and then the appetizer. I did both. So I was, you talk yourself into something, and then you just got to scratch that itch. You know what I mean? So last night I got it, and I'll show you the picture of it again. So I was talking about how Keith Lee tried the grilled cheese with an added patty from Five Guys. Okay. So here it is. And I'm telling you, people. So I added
Nugget in the background
because he wanted to bite so freaking bad. So this is a grilled cheese. I added jalapenos and grilled mushrooms. No, it was a $9 cheeseburger. But actually, if you go to a restaurant and Kim
Mhm.
says that Five Guys isn't fast food, so that's what I considered it. Pretty decent price.
No, I know. I said Habit Burger's not fast food.
Oh, okay, whatever. This thing was so freaking good.
Oh.
I'm never getting a burger from Five Guys again. Never. I will get this with the mushrooms and the jalapenos and the patty and all that cheese and the bun toasted. Oh my God.
So wait a minute. Explain to me. This is a burger from Five Guys, right?
No. So how you order it is you go into the sandwich menu and they have
Mhm.
a grilled cheese. So you order the grilled cheese, but then you add a patty.
Okay.
And it's like $3 or whatever. And oh, it's so good. It's so freaking good. Yeah, it's like a patty melt. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
But it was so yummy. So I'm just letting you guys know. I did not eat well yesterday. I'm just letting you know I've been trying to do this whole kick of eating better, and I've been doing really good. So I ate that.
She's fallen off the wagon, everyone.
Not
No.
even the end of January. Okay, so I'm going to show you the video of what I did. Now, my daughter Marley, she makes a ton of cameos in this. She's being snarky through the whole freaking thing.
Love
Okay,
it.
just to let you know. There's also a point where like the volume's not well, and I'm wondering if it's my damn iPhone, but I don't know. You can just watch it. You'll get it. Just listen closely. It's fine. But here is the very easy appetizer that I made yesterday that's perfect for football this weekend. Another TikTok made me try it. And this is an NFC Championship game and hopefully Super Bowl game with the Niners edition. 5 ingredients, very simple. Club crackers, bacon, Parmesan cheese, red pepper flakes, and brown sugar. And it's very simple. So you cut the bacon into 4/4, basically the length of a cracker. So you do that. Take the cracker and you put a bit of Parmesan cheese and then you put a slice of bacon, just like this, on it, okay? And then you take some brown sugar, you rub the bacon with some brown sugar, take a little bit of red pepper flakes, and put that right on there. Once you have some of them done, put it on a foil-lined pan and then put the crackers on top of a wire rack. The foil is just to catch the drippings. Put it into a 300-degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes, but check after 30 minutes. We had to do a little dance.
Okay, so TikTok made me try it. So today.
Okay, let's see.
Oh my God,
how
she
they look.
looks so grown up.
Oh, they look yummy.
As you can see, the spices on there and the bacon rendered into the cracker. So it should be delicious.
How is it?
It's pretty good. Yeah. I'm wrong. So there you go. So that's the cameo of my my daughter right there. It was really good. So I saved some. The great thing about this appetizer is it doesn't need to be served warm. Like you make it, and yeah, obviously you can eat it hot like I did, but they just stay. So you can make a bunch of them for a football party and then leave them out for the whole entire game, and it's fine. So I saved 2. I only made what you saw. I didn't make a ton of them.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm trying not to eat all of this crap. But here it is.
Okay.
The spices. So it's really easy. I kept it in the refrigerator until right now. So it's been out. So it's not like cold. Mm-hmm. And so the fat renders into the cracker and makes the cracker kind of chewy. It's better the next day.
Really?
More flavorful. All right. So yeah, that's it. Marley does not eat cheese. My children don't eat cheese. Both of my kids do not eat cheese. So, I mean, they eat pizza, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But the minute I put a piece of cheese on this cracker, she was never going to eat it.
I have to show you something that, well, 2 things recently that have made me think about you. First of all, I was at a play date. My son was at a play date, and the mom and I were in the kitchen, and this is Sunday, and she was headed to her brother's house to watch the football game and had to bring an appetizer. So as she's making deviled eggs, I say, wouldn't it be funny if we had some type of a 49ers logo on the egg? So I cut out a little SF stencil
Are you kidding?
No. And
Oh my God!
we did the paprika and the SF on the
That
egg.
looks so good, Kim.
Doesn't it look good? I know. But at first I was thinking it would be better. See the bottom one?
Right. No,
where
the red on the one.
I thought that's how it was going to be good, but we just discovered that it was actually this one that looked better. So that made
turned
me think
out
of
really
you.
good.
Isn't that cute? So if you're bringing deviled eggs to a 49ers party,
so what did you do? Did you print it out and then just cut it or something like that?
I drew it. Like I drew an S and F, and then I just cut it out with scissors and then
and placed it on there.
On a little sticky note, as a matter of fact, but not with the stickum part, just like a little piece of paper, whatever piece of paper. And then I just laid it over the egg and she put the paprika on and it turned out really cute.
All right. Awesome. I had some questions about the cracker. No, the cracker does not get soggy. It's still, here's the back of the cracker. The cracker does not get soggy. Yeah. I will say, because I used a wire rack, you might want to spray the rack a little bit because it kind of starts to stick a little bit, because if any of it runs off, which sometimes it does, like the sugar and the cheese can kind of get sticky. And okay, some of you don't think it looks good. It really is quite delicious. My husband had one. He's on a diet, so he's not eating a lot of this, but yeah, I like it. It's good. Oh, listen, this is how crunchy still the cracker is.
Oh, pretty crisp. Yes.
Yeah, it's not soggy. It's not soggy. Okay.
So we're not a sriracha family.
I am, but okay.
I know you are. But we got our imperfect foods box, comes once every few weeks.
Okay.
Which is mostly, like they sell you produce that maybe looks a little banged up, but it's still perfectly fine type of thing. And then they have some things that you can order that are treats. Well, something ended up in our box that we didn't order necessarily. And it's sriracha honey turkey jerky.
Okay, sweet and spicy. Sweet and spicy can work, yeah.
Right? And so I didn't necessarily want it because I'm not a sriracha fan. Husband's not a sriracha fan.
Are you a jerky fan either?
No, but he is.
Oh, okay.
But the kids decided they were going to try it. I said, who loves siracha is Nikki.
Yes, I do.
So it's probably not bad. So the kids tried it. They really liked it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, is it like no nitrates, beef jerky like that? Yeah.
No nitrates and no nitrites. Yeah.
No, nitrates, all of them, all the bad stuff. Let's see. Steven says, I have a friend who is from France, and she will have sugar in her coffee only if she's only drinking coffee. If she has a pastry, she will not put sugar in her coffee. To kind of watch the sugar intake. Okay.
Balance it out. Yeah.
Mama Three Boys says, we call grilled cheese American quesadillas.
It's funny.
Liz says, my son's like that. No cheese, pizza, and mac and cheese are okay. I wish my kids would eat mac and cheese. Although it's probably good that they don't, because I would eat more mac and cheese. I hate rats. I am one. I eat cheese every single day, even on this, trying to eat better. Although I will say that cashew cheese that I got, really good. I'm almost through the whole container. It's really, 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 really good. So I've been trying. I'm doing pretty good. I will say this. I'm moving more. Still have my Fitbit on. I've been wearing my Fitbit for sleep, which is really, really interesting, Kim. If you have a Fitbit, or I don't know if the other ones do it as well. I'm sure they do. And you keep it on when you sleep, it'll tell you how much you're in light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, awake. I'm averaging 6 hours of sleep, even if I go to bed at 8. But what's also interesting, so for instance, I'm working on a segment about sleep. I've been really focusing on, obviously with my my trying to stay healthy. Sleep is all part of it. But my Fitbit tells me how much sleep that I get. And so last night, for instance, I've only had fair. I've never had good night's sleep. Apparently, I was awake for 1 hour and 3 minutes. And this was all out of 6 hours and 20 minutes. Okay. I was awake for 1 hour and 3 minutes. I was in REM for 1 hour and 13 minutes. I was in light sleep, which is where you spend most of your time, by the way, for 3 hours and 52 minutes. And I was in deep sleep for 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. So I have a theory. You're not going to like this.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to eat the rest of my cracker while you do that. Okay. Go ahead.
My theory is this. The more you think about this stuff, the worse it gets. What if you were to just not worry about it?
That's not me. I worry about everything.
Not worry about how much sleep you're getting. Try not to think about how much sleep you're getting. Don't count how much sleep you're getting. Just go to bed, close your eyes, and don't stress over it. Because when you start, my thinking is this: when you start obsessing over how much am I getting, and is it going to be a good sleep, and is it going to be a bad sleep, and and how much sleep am I getting, and do I have to make it up for today, and then you psych yourself out.
Right, you're thinking too much about it.
Yourself in the wrong headspace. So of course you're going to get a crap sleep every night because you're all worried about it.
I don't think about my Fitbit measuring my sleep. I do it more like I'm just really interested in it at this point. I don't sleep well. I've never slept well. I blame children, Kim Kelster. I really do. I know you know this. Parents know this. You never stop thinking about your kids. You know, it's yesterday was actually the anniversary of my daughter's surgery, and like really, really happy. You know, we're still in the throes of everything, but really happy about where she is now than where she was obviously last year. But, you know, I worry about everything with my children. You know, are they happy? Are they doing well in school? Oh, do they have to have that paper signed? My mind never stops going. And so that's why I actually also want to do something on sleep is when you're working and when you're a parent, like how do you prioritize? And honestly, beyond the obvious, even though you should try the obvious, right? Like no screen time right before bed, those sorts of things, exercise. But there's so much conflicting information. For instance, I've always been told you don't exercise an hour or two before bed because then your body's really, really awake. I just read an article yesterday. No, that's BS. Totally do it. Your body will sleep the best that it's ever slept. And I was like, well, shoot. You know, I've been rushing off to the gym right after this show. Maybe I should wait. You know, not that I'm going to get off my ass in the evening.
I wonder if it kick starts your overnight metabolism. You know, where your body's burning.
Does
more.
that even matter? Like,
I don't know.
Is calories in and calories out just the really basic thing with it? Because that's kind of the thinking that I do. People are like, I just don't eat past 8 o'clock. Your body is your body. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's so confusing.
Where I was driving home from karate the other night, and we're listening to the local radio station in the car, and the DJ comes on and they have these little, you know, tidbits in between songs.
Right.
And he says, we call them breaks, right?
Right.
He says over the music, it turns out women get fewer hours of sleep every night than men.
No crap.
The reason is because of, you know, kids or whatever. And Jacob looks at me and he goes, is that true? Do you not get as good a sleep as dad or me? And I went,
yes.
Probably. And another thing the guy had said is, it turns out women are more often exhausted than men.
Yes.
And Jacob goes, are you exhausted?
I love him.
Yes, I am exhausted.
Yes. This is what tired looks like, my child. Yes. I mean, I am thankfully, and I'm sure you could say the same thing, that you have a supportive husband who really understands you, but you know, my husband, I do this show and then I'm in charge of the household, right? Like, it's like, let's get stuff done. I'm not like eating bonbons on the couch. I'm the taxi cab driver, which is fine. Right. All these sorts of things. But there's also this invisible load that women often carry, which is keeping all the balls juggling. And I tease my husband about it. I go, you don't have to worry that if the PG&E bill, for instance, is going to get paid. He doesn't worry about it. He doesn't know when it's due. He doesn't know, you know, he doesn't understand when that bill's due. That's all automatically every day of my life going through my head. Now add to that, you know, the children's stuff and life and politics and doing this, all these things. No crap. I don't sleep well. My mind won't shut off. So we got to work on that. That's part of the whole thing about trying to be healthier is really trying to be mindful more than everything else. And so, you know, journaling, going to bed earlier, you know, saying no to things, which is hard sometimes too. It's like, not doing that. Sorry. It's not going to make it. But sleep eludes me, my friend. Sleep eludes me. Okay.
Sometimes I think I count my sleep.
What do you mean you count your sleep?
Count my sleep when I count my sleep of the little cat naps. Like 15 minutes cat nap outside karate. That counts, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. I'm not a napper.
Sometimes 10-minute cat nap in the driveway as I'm waiting for kids to come into the car. Absolutely.
Oh, you're so good.
Here, I get a little there.
The only time I nap is if I work and only the morning drive shift. If I work like the midday shift that starts at 6 a.m., I don't need a nap after that. And plus, I'm home too late to even take a nap. But if I work, I have to sleep and usually, honestly, by the time I get home and then have to pick up the kids, maybe half hour, 40 minutes. So it's, I'm not trying to like sleep for hours on end. Now, when I worked like AGO, I mean, I could not get into the bed quick enough, right? Like, but I had more time because I was home earlier.
Right.
But yeah, and then it's not healthy. Like, I'll be honest, I don't know how people that work the morning drive in San Francisco do it every day. It's ungodly.
We did it.
It's ungodly. No, I woke up they start an hour earlier.
Oh, yeah.
At KCBS than at KGO than when we
That's
start our
rough.
morning drive. You don't think an hour is a big deal, so you got to wake up at 2 instead of 3. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But and then again, it's not good for your body. Like, I find myself, even if I take a nap, aggravated to no end with everything by the end of the day, and that's not a healthy way to live. You know what I mean? Like that's schedule. That's a tough.
Why is mommy always in a bad mood?
Yeah, exactly. Life, man. Life. Life makes it hard. Yeah, I can't take cat naps though. Janet says my best friend cat naps like that. I'm a 2-hour napper. I can't do cat naps. If it's 2 hours, my friend, you're sleeping again.
And you know what it is? Sometimes I read on my phone. I have a little Kindle on my phone.
Right.
And reading makes my eyes grow heavy and tired sometimes. And I just fall asleep. And it's a problem because the other day my husband like pulls into the driveway and he's like honks the horn and I awake. He goes, "You're sleeping in the driveway." I'm like, I know. I'm sleeping in the driveway.
I can't. My husband is a napper like that. He could just conk out for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Vicky, night shift work is bad for humans. It is. It's not. Like, there's a gentleman that works in San Francisco also, a really nice guy, but he works, I think his shift is 9 to 5, but 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
I've done a lot of overnights in my life. Yep.
Yeah, but not at this age. Like, that's a young person's thing. Like, you can just pretend you're at the club all night. I don't know.
Right.
Not me. Yeah, it's just not natural. Every time I'm awake at those ungodly hours, I'm like, this is bad for me. It's like doing drugs. Honestly, it's not good for your body.
They say it like messes with your circadian rhythm and whatnot. But I think you have to be the right kind of person for a job like that.
Absolutely.
Because if you're a person that stresses over sleep or that maybe can't sleep during the day or that circadian rhythm is very strong in you, the night shift is not for you.
Nope.
But if you're someone like me that can sleep anywhere at any time and have no problem sleeping when it's sunny out, whatever, then the night shift isn't a bad deal.
Yeah. I mean, my Manta mask saves me. But again, if I have to wake up really early to work that shift, I can't sleep because then I'm thinking about that. Add that to the list. Don't forget to wake up. Did you set your alarm? Check it again. Then I feel like OCD about the whole thing. Like, I'll check my alarm 3 times.
Oh, that's miserable.
It's awful, Kim. Yeah. I'm an overthinker though. I always have been. I'm such an overthinker. So, it's just one of my many quirks. Okay, let's talk a little bit. What do I want to do? Okay, I'll say that to the end if we have time. Let me ask you a question. Speaking of checking alarms and phones and getting off the phone before sleep, how much would it take money-wise for you to not have your phone for a month? 1 whole month. How much would you have to get paid? And I mean, that means none of the show, like no phone, no reaching your kids, nothing. You're gonna have to go buy a rotary phone or something.
Like, how much what's the amount that would allow me to not?
No, just like if I was going to offer $100.
No, that's not enough.
$1,000?
Yeah, getting warmer, maybe.
All right. Well, company is offering $10,000. The company is an Icelandic style yogurt company called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Siggi's, Siggi. Siggi's Dairy. Okay. It's based in New York though, but it sells Icelandic style yogurt. $10,000 to people who could stay away from their smartphones for a month. They say, we believe in the power of living a simpler life with fewer distractions. One of the biggest distractions of our lives today is our phone. That's why we're challenging you to give up your smartphone for a month as part of our digital detox program. Has anyone ever done a digital detox, like one of these actual structured, not just on your own digital detox? Like, I'm paying somebody to take my phone away from me?
Do I have to give up my computer? Like, can I still do my work and my job?
Ooh,
Or
it
is
says
it just
your
my phone?
It's let me look at the website. So the website says why you need a digital detox that you could put in an essay. It just says a digital detox. I'm assuming possibly the
Just the
computer
phone?
as well, but it just has a picture of the phone, so it might just be your cell phone.
Okay. For 10 grand, I'd give up my phone.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just be like, can't reach me for this month. Like, call James.
But I have obligations here. I mean, I don't want to leave y'all. So,
well, yeah, exactly. But no, what I'm saying is like, it's not as if I'm isolated in a cave somewhere.
right.
For instance, when my daughter lost her phone for that time, she just texted me from her friend's phone. It's not as if we're that disconnected. Although I will say it's not as easy, obviously.
Right.
It's not as easy. Eric says, I felt uncomfortable when I forgot my phone while dropping my son off at school, and I wasn't even going to use it because I was in the car the whole time. I feel the same way. Sometimes that's the moment when you really realize how connected or addicted you are to your phone.
What if I
need it? Like, but my whole question is like, if there was an emergency, there is somebody that has a phone. It's not as if
you're the only person on the planet that could deal. Yeah.
Like if I got in a car accident, like God forbid, right? I got in a car accident and they're like calling. I know at least my husband's phone number.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I forget my children's, especially Dylan. I know Marley's phone number way better. Dylan's cell phone number, I put it in once when he first got it. And
Isn't
I
that
never,
crazy?
but how many times do you dial?
Remember kiddies back before cell phones.
Exactly. I know all those phone numbers still.
I had a bank of numbers in my head, like
I still
just
have
to
them.
rattle them off at random. And now I can't do it. I mean, I know my mom's phone number because I grew up saying it, but her cell phone number, I have to, because we don't use it.
Right.
We don't remember it. Right.
I know my dad's cell phone number, not my mom's. Now, my parents used to have a very similar phone number, except they were one number off at the end. But then my mom decided to get a new phone number, which was stupid. So I don't know hers at all, but I still know my dad's. I know my parents' home phone number still, although I don't know if it's still connected. I know James's parents' house phone number because I knew him when I was 17. So I dialed that number. I know my best friend Jenny's. They don't even live there anymore. Her house number.
Yeah.
And then there's some cell phone numbers that I know because I was late to the cell phone game. So I was still dialing them. But if you never dial it, it's just like the passwords for websites. If your computer's always logged in and you're never typing in the password, how are you going to remember it?
Yeah.
So I feel bad when people are like, what's, for instance, my son's cell phone number? I'm like, gotta open my phone. And then I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. My daughter's is a little bit easier, but sometimes I even forget that.
I still remember my grandparents' phone number, and they've passed away in the 90s.
Yeah, see,
or the early 2000s.
There,
but I don't remember. Well, I kind of remember. I have to test myself on Julia's cell phone number. I kind of remember it. I think that's it, and I use it all the time. Whereas their old home phone number, landline number, it's like clockwork in there. Yeah.
I mean, and it's something that you have to practice. So my son during Christmas, he was a number off. Now we did just move like less than a year ago, but he kept sending the packages to our next door neighbor. You have to go over there and knock on the door. I'm like, what the hell, man? He's like, I'm just a number off because unless you're writing it all the time. I mean, I know my social security number, my husband's social security number. I don't know the kids' social security numbers.
Do you know your license plate number?
I know my license number, my car license plate. I kind of know it, which makes me feel bad. Like, God forbid, they're like, my car was stolen. What's the license plate number? I don't know. Something like this. I know it's got that number and that letter in it.
Do you know your driver's license number?
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, I know that one. Sometimes I question it, but then every time I say it to myself and then I look, I'm right.
You get it right.
So I know that one. Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
The brain is crazy. Because again, I have these phone numbers in there like they're written in stone inside my brain. But I can't remember my child's cell phone number because I don't dial it anymore. So that's it. It sucks. But yeah, I think for $10,000, no problem. We're not that isolated at all. We're just not.
Santa Rosa says, I remember my home phone number from when I was 10.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me too. Well, I mean, it was the same phone number. They still live in the same house, but I don't think my parents still have that. I don't think they have the phone connected. They might. I don't think so. I wanted to keep a landline, but even now, if you get a quote unquote landline, it's still through a box that has to connect to the internet, I believe. I don't feel like it's that hard in, unless you never got rid of it, number, but I could be wrong about that. Donald says, I remember my home phone number from Michigan. I moved here in 1985.
Isn't that crazy?
Exactly. Ron, I know my phone number from the 5th grade and would struggle with what my mom's phone number is. Yeah, my mom's cell phone number, because it's newer than my dad's, she should have never changed it. I would totally remember it.
Yeah.
When I look at them, I'm like, oh yeah, but if I was in an emergency, it wouldn't be the first number I call. I have my husband's memorized, which I think is the most important, right? Like your emergency contact phone number, you should probably have. But Lisa says, my 76-year-old husband has every credit card and debit card memorized. Sucks for me. That is so funny. There was like a not a meme, but like one of these funny videos that was made where a husband was sitting on the couch and needed to buy something. He's like, oh, I need the credit card number, expecting his wife to stand up to get the credit card. And she starts rattling off the numbers. He's like, wait, what? Like, how much are you using your credit card that you know all the numbers by heart? That's funny.
It's true.
Really funny. Yeah, John confirms our landline, quote unquote, goes through the internet. Yeah, so it's not really a landline. I remember I tried to get one when I moved back from Sacramento, and it was not the same. I was like, that's not what I want. Heather says, my parents still have the same phone number they had in 1974 and the same gross ass Harvest Gold rotary dial phone in their kitchen. I love that.
That has to be. I mean, that has to have broken by now, doesn't it?
No, why?
That old.
They make things to last back
crusty
then.
and gross.
Refrigerators, you know, but spits probably in that headset or whatever. That's probably gross. Eric said it would be horrible having a photographic memory and not being able to forget every number you've ever heard. Well, you probably just have a lot of space, right? A lot of space in that brain. Yeah, and Heather says that thing's solid as a rock. Okay, let's. Well, we have a couple minutes.
Hold on, I have to show you something.
Okay,
I need to hold on for just a second.
Okay. She's.
I'm going to show you this because it's crazy that this is here.
Oh, is it a phone?
Yes. Hold on, I knocked my microphone over. Check this out. This is called Michigan.
Okay.
Why?
That's the name of the phone?
No. Well, I call it Michigan. This is why do I have this phone at my house? This old ass phone.
Why?
Because I married a guy from Michigan, and people from other states are stressed out about earthquakes. Okay. So when you have someone who hasn't been through many earthquakes and doesn't realize that most earthquakes are just like the earth letting off a little steam,
right?
They're really scared of them, like as scared as I would be of a tornado because I haven't really
exactly
right.
Absolutely.
So I don't put this hold it against him. I mean, I kind of chuckle a little bit, like it's not a big thing. Well, he thinks that the cell phone towers are going down when the big one hits.
Of course.
And the landlines, because the lines are buried, those are the ones that are going to work. Right. So we must keep an old phone like this in case of an earthquake. Do we have a landline, Nikki?
No.
Why is this here at my house? I don't know. But I can tell you that he's like, well, we're never going to find one. And if we need one, now they don't sell these anymore. So now we have to keep it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good, I would display it. I have a friend that has all kinds of old rotary phones like that. She uses them. Yeah, she uses them as like decor, and it's really, really cool. She has a lot of them. Now, again, landlines will work if they're connected to the underground line, but they're not.
You know what it reminds me of? The old radio station hotline. Like when you see something wrong, ring. What do you need, Lee Hammer? Yeah.
Exactly. The lights all going off. You're like, yes, hello. I mean, they still have those phones in San Francisco, I think. But the phone lines, even landlines, did not work during the 1989 earthquake for hours, Jim says.
Yeah.
When the big one hits, we're gonna have all kinds of problems. So let's just keep that in mind. All right, I want to do a quick story. Kim, you sent me this last night. This is really, 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 really messed up. And I never thought about it. Okay. I never thought about and I'm trying to think of my dress. My dress did not have a little underlay thing. Okay. But this guy is defending his fiance, his soon to be wife, because she went dress shopping. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm going to play the video of the guy. He cusses a lot. He's pissed off. Just deal with it. It's fine. But this is what happened to his wife. And I am just, I'm just going to preface this by saying this. If there was ever a great example of why people like say white people have privilege, it's just basic stuff like this. Okay, here we go. Play, man.
Wedding dress designers of TikTok we've got a problem. I need to address something with you here. My beautiful, gorgeous, strong, confident future bride, Desa, went to buy a wedding gown, dress, whatever you want to call it. Here's a problem. Okay, she went to the store, which is supposed to be one of the most magical days of her life, next to getting married to me, of course, and she went to purchase this beautiful wedding dress. The lady says to her, she says, glad you found your dress. The undergarment choices come in two options. The standardized choice is nude, which is free. But if you like the undergarment to match your skin tone, there's an upcharge. Excuse my French, but are you fist fucking me? Telling me that it's free, but if my bride has a different skin tone than white, she has to pay extra money to get the undergarment to match her skin tone? First of all, why is the standard white?
Ding, ding, ding.
How fucked is that? In 2024, the standard, which is free, is a nude skin tone. Nude could be a lot of different colors, but they decided to make white nude the standard. This is absolutely fucking ridiculous. So now she's standing there awkward with the people who are selling her the dress. They're not the designers, but they're like, yeah, there's an upcharge if you want the undergarment to match your skin tone. What? So now she gets to awkwardly beat around the bush and be like, well, I want the other one, but she's not paying for it. So now she's ordering this wedding dress. She's going to dye the undergarment herself to match her skin tone. Wedding dress designers, take goddamn note. This is bullshit, and you should be called out.
So yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right. I mean, it is BS. I would have said, no, you guys eat it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's the business, right? I mean, they have complete control over, you know, what kind of colors, but obviously white wedding dresses are the most common wedding dress. I know people sometimes dye their dresses or have different colors, but it's white, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that everybody that's wearing it is white. Like, what is white? And nobody's that white anyway. Like, it just.
When I first saw this, I thought, well, if it didn't come in my color, then I would be the one charged the $200, right? If they only offer it in one color, like if it came in a coffee tone and I needed the so white you sunburn tone, then I would have to pay. I would be like, okay, well, I guess if I want the other color, I'd have to pay. But then I started thinking about it, and I hadn't watched the video part of what he said. I just read the article.
Right.
And I thought, no one's ever said that to me before. Like, no, I've never
been in
had that
situation.
experience. No one has ever said to me, well, if you want it to match your skin tone, Kim, it's going to cost you.
Right.
And I thought,
had to.
Right. So then I was like, oh, I get it now. Right. Everything always comes in my color.
Right.
I don't ever have to worry about this. And other people are faced with it all the time. It's not fair.
Imagine not being the default. Like,
No.
you're not the default. You're not the one that gets it for free. It's not easy for you. You're not a special order. Like, and I understand the dress, the outside of the dress comes in white. Like, if you wanted it in pink, you got to charge extra for pink.
Right.
But this is the underlay. This is supposed to give the effect of the dress, right? So there's an undergarment to make it look like skin tone. That's the point of the dress. So if your dress is supposed to have that effect, then that underlay should be able to be on any bride of any skin tone to give the same effect. It's not going to look like skin, which is what you're going for when you designed it.
Imagine how awful that would look if the bra cups are like white and she's not. It looks horrible looking. So the wedding dress store saw this video and saw the article.
Oh, they did. I didn't get that update.
They offered to pay for that. As a matter of fact, they offered her the dress for free after realizing that what they were doing is wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I don't know. They knew what they were doing was wrong. I mean, are they no longer going to work with that designer and that has the upcharge then?
I think they're changing their ways.
Because he said it was the designer that had the upcharge, not the bridal store.
Well, maybe the bridal store realizes this isn't fair and they need to eat the cost. I don't know.
Yeah.
But a number of wedding dress designers of African American heritage reached out to her and said, I'll make your dress for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me help you with this. There's no way you should have to deal with it.
It should
and
never
so
yeah.
I think what she said was that dress she found was her dream dress, but because she wants to support a Black designer and she's going to go a different route with this whole thing.
Wow. So she's not even getting the dress anymore at all.
No, she's like, no, thank you. No thanks.
But that's the thing. If you're selling something, I mean, and you understand that people come in different shades, that undergarment should always come in different shades. And it's not as if it's has sequins on it, and it's literally just the underlay that you need to sew in. You, as a designer of something that should be worn on any woman that falls in love with that dress, should make it so that it does. Thank you, Lady Beatrice, for the $5. Go ahead, read it.
She says, I wonder if the bride is as pissed as the groom here.
Oh,
He's right about it being BS. It almost feels like a form of racism, and it is.
I would say more colorism than racism.
She said that she was so shocked that she froze.
Yeah.
And she just kind of nodded her head. But in the days following, she finally told her husband about it when her mother-in-law asked, like, did you find the dress?
Right.
Then she let it out, which I guess is normal. You kind of internalize it for a minute. You think that's normal. And then she realized, and no, she said it is racism. It's racism at its basic degry, and that because she deals with it all the time, it can feel like again normal to you. So maybe they're not calling you the N-word, right, or denying you a job because of your color or creed or what have you, but these little things that happen, it is racism. It's racism because it doesn't happen to me. It doesn't happen to the white lady who comes in to get the same dress. So it's just another, they're trying to, they charge you for this, they charge you for that, they're excluding you. It's anyway.
It's ridiculous. And again, it's this idea, and that's why it pisses me off when white people just like, I never got anything handed to me. I had to work for everything that I got. Completely blind to the numerous ways that people who aren't white don't have things come as easy for them. And this is a perfect example. Is it the most important issue of the day? No, but it's the most important, one of the most important days of her life. And supposed to be a magical day, like her fiance said. And now she has to deal with this head on, like, oh, that's right. I'm not the default. I'm not the automatic person thought of when people are designing dresses. People that look like me aren't taken into consideration. The people that are taken into consideration are those with white skin. And that alone gives them privilege. That alone puts them steps ahead. That alone gives them a freaking financial discount. So yeah, it's bull. I'm glad that it was called out. I'm glad that, other designers stepped in, but where I want to get to is that if I'm designing something, I automatically think about the diversity, right? People are so against diversity, equality, all that kind of stuff. No, the world is diverse. We look different. We are raised different. Our skin tones are different. Our languages are different. You shouldn't be forced to consider it. It should come naturally to consider it because you live in a diverse world. Now, I understand if you live in, Whiteville, where there's like everybody looks exactly the same. It might take you a little bit longer to realize that, right? Because you are what you surround yourself by. But here in most parts of the world and country, come on now. Come on. Yeah. You should know better. Absolutely. Yeah. You should know better. Okay. I know we ran long, so you're going to have to save your headlines because we have Tim Sika.
It's all right. I love myself some Tim Sika. Oh, bring it.
Okay, because I want to ask Tim Sika, and Tim Sika is our movie reviewer.
Hey.
Hi, Tim. So I was not here the past couple Fridays. So
I know we missed you too.
I missed you,
did. But Tim and I have been having fun. So
woohoo!
Woohoo!
So I have two questions for you.
Yeah.
Well, really, just it's all kind of rolled into one question. Let me just do it this way.
Okay.
Do you think that Barbie's Greta Gerwig and Margo Robbie were snubbed?
You
don't? Okay.
No. Okay. Well, first of all, you have to define, this is one of my pet peeves. We could do the whole 20 minutes on this. First of all, this is one of the most diverse list of nominees in the history of the Academy Award. We have a Native American woman. We've got, I think, three of the best films nominated for best films have been directed by women. There's 2 queer artists that are openly gay actors nominated for the first time. I mean, then the list goes on. first of all, you have to define snub for me. I think that's a wrong. I think that's
well, given the Golden Globes, this is my question. This goes with it. So, given the Golden Globes, how well, obviously Margot Robbie, Greta Gerwig nominated in those categories at the very least. How well Barbie did in the box office? How many people loved it? How many people keep talking about it? I mean, what more does a movie need? And explain adapted screenplay. Why is Barbie in the adapted screenplay category?
That's a different subject. Let me say this. They were not I'm going to play in the snubbed arena, which I think snub is the wrong way to classify this because a lot of math is involved in this. There's like 11,000 members. Sometimes in the first round of balloting, somebody or a film, one of their films will score really high, but because they have point systems and they have to keep, sometimes a film, I've experienced this myself, a film will score really high in the initial balloting, but by the time it gets to the end, it's like gone because of the process and the way these things are determined. A lot of it is mathematics. It has nothing to do with snub. Snub implies like, I'm gonna snub this person. First of all, they were not snubbed. Margot Robbie was nominated as producer of one of the best films of the year, and Greta Gerwig was nominated for screenplay.
Adapted screenplay.
Okay, that's another thing. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it should be adapted. I thought it should be original. There was not. I mean, yeah, it wasn't
adapted from anything.
No, it wasn't really adapted. No, it was original, and I think it deserved a nomination. But I don't think they were snubbed at all. Really, why aren't we focusing on the 8 nominations that the movie got? Why aren't we focusing on the fact that like more women have been acknowledged this year?
Because Ryan Gosling got nominated for actor, and
it was because it was the roll of the dice. Did you see what Whoopi Goldberg said? I agree with totally.
She goes, not everybody can win.
No.
Yeah. Are there a set number of people that can be in a category though, Tim? I mean, or can they just add more people to the category?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. You bring up a good point. There are these rules, and there are arbitrary rules that naturally look. 10. You're going to have 10 movies are nominated for Best Picture and only 5 for Director. Personally, I thought this is going to like make people annoyed. I've already like gotten into fights about this, but I think the one deficient component to Barbie was the direction. I did not think it was well directed. It was a tonal mess. It was all over the place. She let chaos reign. It's like she threw everything at the wall to see what would stick. And this is not just my opinion. A lot of people have said this, but I said, I don't think it was a particularly well directed movie. When you look at the other movies and the other directors who were nominated, far surpasses what Barbie did. And Barbie's going to win Oscars. And in the end, it doesn't matter. We take these things too damn seriously. It's a contest. Right. It's a competition.
Of course it is. That's exactly what it is. And I know it doesn't really, really matter. I disagreed with you. I really liked Barbie. I didn't think that it was a mess. I thought that Greta Gerwig should have won, at least got nominated for Best Director, because it seemed to be so many moving parts and so much to say, and all of the scenes and the dancing and the songs. I mean, I don't know. I liked it. I know that I understand what you are saying about there's a lot there and a lot in a lot of those scenes, but
and she may have missed it by like 1 or 2 votes. That's not a snub. We'll never know because we don't know what the tallies are. But you know what though, you do make a good point. They have 10 nominees for picture. They should have 10 nominees for director. And if they did, she would have made it into exactly. It's just a weird thing.
Arbitrary. I'm going to call sexism, Tim, just to be controversial.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'm a white guy and I'm a misogynist. I've already been accused of misogyny. It's just my opinion. Just like, and I respect your opinion. I respect the fact that you loved Barbie. A lot of women I know loved Barbie, but a lot of women I know didn't like it either. They didn't understand it.
I know. I get, and that's fine, and it's subjective, and people like what they like, and they don't like what they don't like. So let's get into the movies, though.
Okay.
There's 5 that we have to get through. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay. Let's start with Beautiful Wedding. I like rom-coms. Let's do it.
Do we have to?
Yes, we do. Yes, we have to.
Right. And he's a yes.
Okay. One of my least favorite things in the world to do is to mercilessly vomit on a movie. Right. I know it takes a lot of time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears to make a movie. I don't like being I loathe appearing cavalier and dismissing a movie, but this one, Beautiful Wedding, this is, I hope I get quoted. This is one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my entire life. In fact, I doubt I will ever see anything that even remotely approaches the unmitigated
Are you
badness.
serious?
This is, it's a sequel to a movie that came out last year called Beautiful Disaster. Did you guys see that?
No,
it's
I
a
didn't.
rom-com sequel. I can't even imagine sitting through that one, although it was probably appropriately named Beautiful Disaster. Anyway, and you know what else is shocking about this movie is that both these movies were based on young adult novels. I don't know what young adults they are writing for.
Wow.
But this one picks up where the other one left off, where the two main characters, Abby and Travis, I think their names were, they're played by Virginia Gardner and Dylan Sprouse. They wake up one morning after this crazy night in Vegas and they find themselves to be accidentally married. Apparently, neither one remembers having tied the knot, but there's a marriage certificate on the bureau that proves that they were married. So this basically incompatible couple, they find themselves inexplicably married, and they're incompatible because her goal in life is to move to Paris and his goal in life is to have sex on airplanes. I mean, I have to tell you, I probably shouldn't even be, okay, I have full disclosure here. This movie was so egregious, I walked out when it still had a half hour to go.
Wow. You didn't even see the twist at the end? I don't know.
You know, let's say something. Tim is so thoughtful about movies, and he'll go, even if I don't like it, I'm going to consider other people's tastes and what people will like.
Yeah,
it must have sucked so bad for you to walk out.
Right.
No, really, Kim, I defy you to see this movie and not say I have a lot of valid points.
Did you see Beautiful Disaster?
You know what? I would no.
Okay, I'm just wondering, would it have made it better if you did? I'm just wondering.
Oh God, no, no. I would rather. No, seriously, I would rather somebody stick needles in my eyes.
All right, well then let's move on to something. Hopefully,
let's move on.
Miller's Girl.
Yeah, this is an interesting movie. It's very smart, at times incendiary, and it's got this crackerjack script. It's got great dialogue, extremely well acted, but there's a but here, which I'll get to. First, though, what it's about. Martin Freeman, who played Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit. He's a great actor. In this one, he plays a high school teacher of literature who mentors a female student, played by Jenna Ortega, in whom he sees exceptional talent that as her teacher, he wishes to kind of nurture. So he kind of tentatively gives her this assignment and permission to where she's supposed to do this creative writing assignment where she's supposed to follow the structure of writer Henry Miller.
Okay.
Not the content, but the structure. Henry Miller, of course, is like public enemy #1 with the censors. He's an author that's forbidden to be taught in most schools. I don't even know if I'd want him taught in schools that my kids went to, because he's an artist, but like there was a book, Under the Roofs of Paris, which I read in college. They're filled with explicit depictions of sex, and many have called his works pornographic, and they kind of are, though they're artful. Anyway, so you kind of can see where this is going, right? It's a movie about how the line between student and teacher has to be upheld at all costs, particularly when a teacher might see something special in another student, and I recommend this movie. I liked it very much, but the but I was talking about in reference to the film is that it's directed like almost salaciously, almost like trash. That the emphasis tends to get in the way and override what could have been a really exceptional, thought-provoking work of art, I think. In other words, it's a good screenplay, it's well acted, but to be blunt, it's directed like it's trash and a female revenge tale to boot. And the movie has those elements, but it's about so much more, and the so much more part is given short shrift by the direction and the director's decision to focus more upon like the Lolita aspects of the story. But it's a riveting drama. It is hard to look away from, and that's always a plus with any movie. And it addresses some really interesting topics, like the line that has to be maintained between teacher and student. So I liked it. I thought it was good. Yeah.
All right. There we go. We got a thumbs up from Tim on that one.
I pretty much like all the movies this week except that other one, which I will never waste another breath on even saying the name.
All right, we're not going to talk about that one. That one is
okay.
Moving on grata with us. Okay, The Peasants. This is animated. That picture doesn't even look animated.
No, that's right. That's a good observation because this one's a feast for the eyes. But it's a very dark and depressing movie. It's an animated movie. Okay. It's an adult drama film. It's directed by the husband and wife team of DK and Hugh Welchman, whose previous film was the 2017 Loving Vincent, which used a similar painting animation technique to tell its story. And I'll get to that in a second. But this one's based on Nobel laureate author of Vladislav Stanislav Raymont's 1,000-page novel. And it's about this young, headstrong, independent, very sexual, tradition and convention bedamned woman living amongst a very conservative, patriarchal Polish group of people in a Polish village in the late 19th century. So it's a feast for the eyes. It's stunningly beautiful. And the painting technique that they used to render these images took like 5 years to make this movie. But the story was shot like a non-animated movie with live actors. So it was shot like a live action movie, but then more than it was like 100 painters using oil paint.
Yeah, I'm showing some other pictures of it on the screen right now. If you
guys
can tell.
Yeah.
It looks like, it doesn't
beautiful.
do it justice. You have to look at it. But yeah, those are paintings.
They're
crazy.
Paintings, right? They painted over these live action images. So the movie looks like an oil painting, but in movement.
Yeah.
And so visually it's just a must-see, but it's such a dark story and about the damage gossip can do to ruin people's lives, the terror of mob rule, misogyny, greed, rape, sexual violence, unexamined patriarchy, basically a lot of what is ugly about the human condition. And the ending is deeply disturbing and shocking and gruesome and horrifying. But the story's told, the contrast is that the story's told in these beautiful oil painting images that for me makes The Peasants a near great, albeit very difficult to experience work of art. I mean, it's a very good movie, but it's really rough and it's not for kids.
All right. Wow.
No way is it for kids. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Bad Hombres.
Bad Hombres. Boy, I wonder what this one's about, eh? Yeah.
Bad men, I would assume.
Yeah, here's one for pure adrenaline, turbocharged, tension-filled entertainment. It's a genre picture. It's a low budget, but looks polished, very polished looking, neo-noirish, bloody, violent thriller. It's directed by John Stahlberg Jr., whose previous film Muzzle we talked about on the show last year. That was the one about the cop and his canine German Shepherd police partner. Anyway, he also came up with the story. And it's a story about this undocumented Ecuadorian immigrant who, while looking for work, unwittingly becomes involved with drug cartel criminals. So lots of unsavory characters in this movie, but primarily the movie lives up to its title. This is a movie about bad hombres. That's tense as hell. It's directed with a kind of renegade sensibility, with a sense of humor about it too. That it's so funny. There's a scene where there's this really funny scene where one of the killers, after having just almost been killed himself in this bloody gun battle, he takes off in a car with a broken radio that he can't shut off, and the radio is broadcasting loudly this hell and damnation preacher. It's like blasting going on about what those hell and damnation preachers go on and on about. Right. And that was really funny because of what we had just seen previously, which was this really, really violent and grotesque shootout. And the last credit on the end credit scroll, it gives us the finger, which made me laugh out loud. But anyway, tense. This film reminded me most of the Coen brothers, No Country for Old Men, because it's its own animal, of course, but like in the Coen brothers movie, the tension that this movie elicits is unbearable in a good way. But you find yourself like holding your breath through most of the picture because something really awful and violent and bloody is right around the corner, just waiting to happen. So it really, really works on that level. And if you love violent, action-packed entertaining neo-noir
There you go.
thrillers. Bad Hombres should definitely make your must-watch movie list for sure.
Perfect. All right. We have one more, and this is called Skin Deep.
Okay. You both take a deep breath because I'm going to tell you about this movie. Okay. This is a German film. It's in German with English subtitles.
Okay.
Aus meiner Haut is the original German title. It's translated as Out of My Skin. The American title chosen for the North American release of the picture, though, is Skin Deep. They should have stuck to Out of My Skin because that's really more representative of what happens in this story. And there's lots of other movies called Skin Deep. Anyway.
Oh.
This is a very strange and weird and most unusual movie that takes a lot of time in getting used to. But once you settle into it and get used to its like laborious pacing, it definitely leaves a lasting impression. It's a kind of a science fiction-y drama. It's about this couple who goes to this island where, in order to experience life from another person's perspective, you can swap bodies with another person, right? That sounds weird.
Okay.
But it's credibly rendered here. And it's about this couple whose relationship is like on the rocks. So they decide to undergo this body swapping with other people in order to see if doing that will reignite the passion and the love that they once had for each other. So this couple on this excursion to this island, they swap bodies with different people, right? And the big conflict comes when the woman of the couple decides that she wants to remain in the body of this man she swapped bodies with because of how it makes her feel, right? And the man of the couple has a problem dealing with that for obvious reasons, even though in the body of this man, this woman and her husband experience the best sex of their lives.
Oh my God, that is so interesting.
It is. A lot of what was going on with some of the other characters on this body swapping out, it wasn't always clear, but I have to recommend this movie because it is so odd and so unusual and so different. And I think it was really trying to say something about gender identity and sexual identity. Very, very weird, but very mesmerizing. And it's like go ahead, Kim. Yeah.
Is love and sex about the body you're, in a relationship with, or is it about who's inside of that body?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, interesting. I love that.
It brings up all those questions. Yeah. And so it's like this combination love story. It's a romance. It's a sci-fi drama. And it's one of the strangest allegories I've ever seen about empathy. It's just, and the
That'd be weird. It'd be weird if you weren't attracted to yourself when you were in another person's body. You're like, really? I don't know.
No, I know. Well, there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief here, but you have to go with it. But I'll tell you and what makes up for it too is the ending is absolute perfection. The way they resolve this story, and you're going, oh my God, it's like, oh my God. No, really, it's just the weirdest movie I've seen in decades. But it's good. Sure. It's good. It's
and
really,
this is
really
in
good.
Theaters, right?
It's in theaters, yes. In theaters right now, probably streaming soon to follow. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so it was a thumbs up on everything. Skin Deep, Bad Hombres, The Peasants, and Miller's Girl. Do not, in any way, shape, or form, unless you want to
Yeah, that other movie. Don't say. Oh, you said it. You said okay. Now my days.
Worst movie he's ever seen. He says.
Yes, it is one of the top 5 worst movies I have ever seen in my whole life. Oh my God! I couldn't, because there's children probably listening to this show. I couldn't say half of what I wanted to. It was just so sexually immature. Oh my! Who did they make this movie for? Like,
you're kind of selling it though, Tim. I mean, you're kind of selling it as like, I gotta kind of see it.
Yeah,
you know
I know.
I mean?
Well, good. I'm glad.
I remember the day I
see it at your own risk, and don't blame me when you say that was a piece of SH. Yeah.
I remember the day I saw the worst movie I'd ever seen, and I actually texted Tim and I said, I can't even believe it.
Wait, was that one with the plate? Yeah, that
one.
It's called On a Wing and a Prayer, and I thought it had Dennis Quaid in it. No problem, right?
Yeah,
sounds like a good. Don't watch it. It's awful.
Yeah, don't waste your time.
I believe you. Yeah. And anyway, and Barbie's going to win Oscars. So everybody calm down, okay?
Just
please?
calm down. Don't tell women to calm down.
No, really. You know what? I'm sorry. No, that. You know what? That is so condescending. And
I'm just kidding.
No. You're right. No. Whenever anybody's told me to calm down, all I wanted
to do opposite
was punch him in the face. Yeah, really. It's
well,
so
I never would punch you.
Thank you.
Ever. All right, Tim. Thank you so much. We will talk next Friday.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Bye, Tim.
Bye. I love his passion when he doesn't like something, man. Yeah, but he does kind of sell it a little bit. Now I gotta see what's so bad.
No, if
about
Tim
Beautiful
sucks,
Wedding.
he'll even say, this movie wasn't my taste, but
right.
if you like this, or if you like that, then you'll really enjoy this part of the movie.
He wasn't even giving it that.
If he got up and walked out, you know how bad that must have been?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's give some thank yous before we end the show. Let's start with Spencer, who always starts us off with a $5 super sticker, and he gave it twice.
Spencer.
Two $5 donations. Thank you so much. Lady Beatrice, $5 donation from you. We all know Newsom has some authority to tell PG&E enough. Start a petition. We'll happily sign. We should do that. Also, she comes in with another $5 donation. Thank you, Lady Beatrice. I wonder if the bride is as pissed as the groom. He's right about it being BS. Yes, indeed. And then Wes, we love seeing you. Finally have a day I can catch your show live. Thank you, Wes, so very much. You guys, if you love the show, if you want to keep it going, please sign up on our monthly Patreon, become a subscriber. Just go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com. The link is right there. You could donate one time a month, and we really appreciate it. If you like PayPal, go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and put in the email address, theNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. All right, that's our show. Stay here for Mark Thompson, and of course, the After Party Live with Kim and John Daly. Please, may the 49ers win. Please. I'll be either happy or sad on Monday, so tune in then. Bye, guys. Mwah. Go Niners!
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.